Right everyone, it is Finn here, welcome back to another video where today I've definitely got a bit of an interesting one for you guys, because today I'll be predicting England's 2026 World Cup squad. Yes, I know 2026, it is 5 years away, it is forever away, but the kind of reason or the reasoning behind why I'm deciding to make this video is, first of all, I thought it would be a very fun, very interesting video to make, which it definitely is, but second of all, I feel like it could be a very interesting one to watch. As we know, football is so unpredictable. What could happen in 5 years time, nobody knows, and that's why I feel like it could be interesting to predict what England's squad could look like in 5 years. As we know, England has always had this pressure behind them. They haven't won a trophy since 1966, obviously got to the final of Euro 2020, didn't end up winning it, although they had a fantastic squad, and they've always had this pressure around them. Also, there's obviously always talks about the fact that England at the moment have so many brilliant youngsters, and they could really grow a powerful team. And the question is, in 5 years time, will they have a squad that could bring it home? Will they have a squad that could win trophies? And that's kind of what we're going to be looking at in today's video, which of course, guys, if you end up enjoying today's video, don't forget to leave a like down below if we could get this video to 20 likes, and maybe I'll even do another nation. Maybe I'll do a France or a Germany or a Spain or another nation like that. But jumping straight into what I believe England's squad could look like by 2026, definitely going to be an interesting one. I mean, 5 years, there are so many players that could be in the squad that at this current moment we've never really heard of before. I mean, looking away from England, a player like Erling Haaland, one of the best strikers in the world. 3 years ago, most people hadn't heard of his name before. Now, one of the best strikers in the world. So to look at England and predict what their squad will look like in 5 years time, it is not going to be accurate, but as I said, could definitely be a fun video to make, and I can't wait to see what players pop up in the next 5 years that we haven't heard of already that are going to make a name for themselves. But looking at my squad for 2026 in the goalkeeper position, who do I feel like will be England's main man between the posts? I mean, we've got the likes of Jordan Pickford, we've got Aaron Ramsdale, Dean Henderson, we've got Woodman from Newcastle United. There are a lot of really brilliant options. I mean, Jordan Pickford will only be about 32, 33 years old, and as we know, especially from the likes of Gianluigi Buffon, goalkeepers can play until they're about 73 years old at this rate. But do I think Jordan Pickford will be England's main man in 5 years time? A part of me really doesn't think so. Yes, I know he's absolutely Superman, he is unbreakable when he puts on the England jersey, but I've just seen so many poor performances for Everton. Yes, so far this season he hasn't been nearly as bad, but I have to admit, with the current form of Aaron Ramsdale, I feel like in 5 years time he'll be England's main man. Yes, I know I just said based on current form, but the way this player has been improving season by season, from Bournemouth to Sheffield United, now obviously at Arsenal, I think he has improved so much as a player, and he's really gotten better and better every year. Yes, I know Bournemouth and Sheffield United both got relegated from the Premier League, but the amount of shots that Ramsdale conceded, I mean, it was crazy. They were bound to go down. That's more due to the defense than Aaron Ramsdale. But this season for Arsenal, he was brought in as a backup goalkeeper for £30 million, and now he's Arsenal's main man. As I said, football's unpredictable. We don't know where things will be in 5 years time. We don't know if Arsenal will be a mid-table Premier League club or if they'll be a Champions League club. But at the moment, Arsenal have been rising in form, and I feel like Arsenal in 5 years time, they very much could be back in their old ways. They could be a top European club once again, and I feel like Ramsdale, the performances he's had so far this season, he could play a huge part in that. I think Aaron Ramsdale will be England's number one, the way he's been improving year by year. His most real competition, or his biggest competition, might also be Dean Henderson, but at the moment he's not getting any game time for Manchester United. Last season it looked like he could have stolen the gloves from David De Gea, but at the moment not getting any game time from United, and unless he makes a move away very soon, I think that number one spot is going to Aaron Ramsdale. What a terrific young goalkeeper. Now looking at the defense and the right back position, now this is obviously currently a problem with England, and in 5 years time I don't think it's going to be a problem that'll go away. England have so many brilliant young right back options, and as I said, 5 years time we don't know what new players will pop up. They've got the likes of Trent Alexander Arnold, they've got Reece James, at the moment they've got Kyle Walker and Trippier, and I don't think either of those two right backs will be playing for England in 5 years time, especially not as starters. Obviously the likes of Livramento has been excellent for Southampton. There are some brilliant right back options for England, and I feel like it's going to be between Reece James and Trent Alexander Arnold. I think it depends on the game which one England ends up going going with, but I feel like the main right back has to be Reece James. He is just such a complete fullback. I mean, 2-3 years ago was his first real taste of first team experience, but in terms of both defensive and attacking ability, he is unstoppable. He wasn't part of England's main system during Euro 2020, but as a player, he has been brilliant. He's currently Chelsea's top goal scorer in the Premier League at the time of recording. He is such a brilliant young right back, and I can definitely see him being part of Southgate or whoever the England manager's team is in 5 years' time. Looking at the two centre-backs, definitely a bit of a tricky one, but the first centre-back I'm going to go for might be controversial. I've gone for the likes of John Stones. Look, ever since he moved from Everton to Manchester City, he's had a lot of eyes on him. One of the most expensive English players of all time, definitely got a lot of criticism. As, I mean, his dream move to Manchester City was very much a nightmare at first, but as of the last year or two, he's really recovered his career. He's looked like a brilliant centre-back option, will only be about 32 by the 2026 World Cup, and definitely fully capable as a centre-back and could be a possible contender for the captaincy by that stage. I think he's really grown into a really good centre-back, and I think will be part of England's system in 5 years' time. And who do I think his England centre-back partnership will be with? I think it's going to be with the likes of TOMORI. Yes, ever since he's moved to AC Milan, I don't feel like a lot of eyes are on him because not a lot of people watch the Serie A, the Italian league, but statistically at the moment is one of the best English centre-backs in the world at the moment. Statistically probably is the best English centre-back in the world. So I've been hearing a lot of criticism about the fact that he's not even in England's squad for the upcoming qualifiers and friendlies and all of that, which is absolutely criminal because he is such a brilliant young player. How Chelsea gave him away, I have absolutely no idea how they did that, but in 5 years' time, he is going to be such a solid option, and to put him next to John Stones, I think that is going to be beautiful. Now, obviously, that does mean that I don't know if Ben White will be in the starting 11 come 11 years or 5 years time, which I know definitely going to get quite a bit of criticism, obviously, especially from Arsenal fans. But I have to say, I think Ben White has definitely got the makings of a good centre-back, definitely has that ability to contribute and distribute the ball up front. But at the end of the day, since making his move to Arsenal, or just in general, there's still a lot more I want to see from Ben White. I didn't even think he was in the top 2 best centre-backs at Brighton, to be honest with you. I think he still has a lot to prove to me before he proves that he is going to be the next main man for England. But in the meantime, still going to be brilliant. He will be in the squad, but I don't know if he'll be in the starting squad, if that makes sense. Obviously, other two honourable mentions for the centre-back positions, obviously Harry Maguire. Could he be in the starting lineup? Maybe, yes, but as we know, he hasn't quite been the centre-back that we thought he would live up to. He has been kind of a letdown for Manchester United. So in 5 years' time, I do believe he would lose his place. The likes of Conor from Aston Villa is so heavily underrated. I'm upset that he hasn't really gotten that kind of call up to England yet, or at least people haven't been talking about it. He is a brilliant young centre-back as well, and could very much get his chance. But that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to our final defender in the left-back position, and I've gone for the likes of Ben Chilwell, another Chelsea defender. I think he's an absolutely brilliant player, will be 29 years old in 5 years' time. Obviously, once again, just like Chelsea's whole system as a whole in terms of their fullbacks, has the ability to contribute towards goals. Wasn't part of England's 2020 Euro system because Luke Shaw was in such brilliant form, but I feel like Ben Chilwell will overtake the likes of Luke Shaw. Look, I love Luke Shaw. I'm a Manchester United fan, but at the end of the day, I know what Luke Shaw is like. When he is injured, when he is not fully fit, he is a train wreck. I think the reason, or a part of the reason why he was so brilliant last season, was the fact that he remained fit. But because I know of his injuries, because I know how long he can be out because of them, 5 years' time, the older he gets, I think he'll become a bit more injury prone, and I don't know if he'll keep the same level as he did last season. And as I said, I feel like Chilwell will overtake him. I think he is a brilliant left back. Obviously, maybe another honourable mention I've got is the likes of Justin from Leicester City. A brilliant kind of wing back, I would probably describe him as. Definitely got a lot of potential to him, has gotten quite a bit of first team action over the last few years, and it'll be exciting to see where a player like him will be in 5 years' time. Now moving on to our midfield positions, where I'm not going to lie guys, this is kind of where I had not the most problems, but definitely it's quite a few tricky decisions had to be made. I think the most standout player that I think will be almost guaranteed to be in the squad is going to be Declan Rice in that defensive midfield position. Obviously the likes of Calvin Phillips or Chalobah from Chelsea, definitely honourable mentions, but I've only gone for one defensive midfielder with Declan Rice. And much like Stones, I feel like Rice could captain this team. In fact, I'm going to say this, 5 years time, there is no doubt in my mind that Declan Rice will be captain of this team. I mean, in terms of, he's only 22 years old, he'll be 27 in 5 years time. He'll be in the prime of his career. In terms of a defensive midfielder who can pass the ball really well, get up the field, now he's added goals to his game. Declan Rice might actually be a £100 million player. He is absolutely brilliant on his day. Once again, 5 years time, where will he be? Will he move to a team where he fits the system? Will he move to a Chelsea? Maybe he won't fit their system. Will he stay at West Ham United? Become a legend? 5 years time, we don't know what will happen. But one thing I do know is Declan Rice is such a promising youngster. I have to put him in the squad. I definitely think that he'll remain in the England national team. Looking at my other two midfielders, I've kind of gone for two attacking midfielders, if you want to call them that. And as I said, was very, very tricky, but I've gone for the likes of Mason Mount and Conor Gallagher. Yes, I know, once again, definitely big shouts. I feel like Mason Mount, as I've said many times before, and you can clip me saying this, you can post it absolutely everywhere on social media. I think Mason Mount has the potential to almost be greater for Chelsea than Frank Lampard. Well, maybe not greater, but I think he could have a similar legacy. Such a brilliant midfielder at the end of the day. In terms of goal contributions, in terms of being the best player on the pitch, I feel like last season, almost every single week, I looked at that Chelsea team and said Mason Mount will be the player to make the difference. As I said, will still be young in 5 years time, and just the way he's been growing over the last few years, I feel like definitely deserves a spot in the starting 11. And obviously the other midfielder I have mentioned, bit of a weird one, but it is going to be Conor Gallagher. I feel like wherever Conor Gallagher has gone, I feel like he has created quite a name for himself. He is a brilliant youngster. Unfortunately, can't get into the Chelsea first team. That is why he's currently loaned out to Crystal Palace, where he has been brilliant. He's been contributing in terms of assists, in terms of goals, and he has been such a brilliant player. We know him for the England youth teams. He's been doing very, very well for them. And I think within the next year or two, he can definitely expect a call-up to the England national team. He has been so influential. He has been so brilliant. Only 21 years old. Will only be 26 in 5 years time. Before even the prime of his career, he will be a brilliant player one day, and I think he could edge his way into the starting lineup, you know, which, as I said, definitely tricky, because in terms of midfielders I've left out, as I said, the likes of Calvin Phillips. I don't know where Leeds United will be in 5 years time. I don't know where Phillips will be in 5 years time. Chalobah for Chelsea, I've got the likes of Jude Bellingham. That is a huge name to leave out, which I feel like majority of people will include in their squad. But as I said, I'm just finding it tricky to put him over the likes of Mount and Gallagher. Maybe a tricky one. Maybe Bellingham will be over Gallagher, but we'll see where Bellingham is in 5 years time. I've put the likes of Joe Willock, I've put the likes of Eze from Crystal Palace, Emile Smith-Rowe. There are so many brilliant options that could be in England's midfield in 5 years time, which, yes, by the way guys, I don't think that good old Jordan Henderson will be in the squad in 5 years time, as much as many of you would like to believe that. But that, guys, takes us to the front three for England in 5 years time for 2026, and there are a lot of names, and I'm very aware that a video like this could definitely have potential to offend people. I mean, it's football. If you make a starting 11 of anything, you're going to offend someone. But starting off in the right wing position, I asked you guys on my community post who you guys think England's main right wing will be in 5 years time. So I've kind of gone with the likes of you guys, but this is also kind of what I feel, and I've gone for Jadon Sancho. Yes, he hasn't had the greatest start for Manchester United. 8 games in, 0 goals, 0 assists, but at the end of the day, he's actually only 21 years old. It feels like he's been around forever. Only 21 years old. I don't feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be Manchester United's manager in 5 years time, whether let alone like 1 month from now. And I feel like Jadon Sancho has got so much potential to him. His numbers were insane at Borussia Dortmund. We cannot ignore those numbers. If United get in a proper manager that really works with the right system, I feel like Jadon Sancho could be back to his best and could be England's main right wing in 5 years time. Now, of course, there's a lot of competition because there's also the likes of Mason Greenwood. I'd like to think he's England's main right wing in a few years time, but I don't know if he'll convert to more of a striker position. I feel like at the moment Greenwood is better than Sancho, but as I said, you guys seem to think Sancho will be the better player. And obviously, as we know, FIKAYO Saka can also play that role, but because of the vote, I've put in the likes of Jadon Sancho. Moving on to the left wing side, once again, there is a lot of competition. You've got the likes of Sterling, Rashford, Phil Foden. Once again, Saka can play that side. We've got the likes of Barnes from Leicester Leicester City, Jack Grealish. There is a plethora of players who can play in that position. They could also play the other wing position or even attacking midfielder. It is not going to be easy, but the left wing I've gone for, which once again you guys voted for, it is going to be full Foden. I mean, I think this kid is the future of Manchester City. He is just brilliant overall. The energy he brings, he can win games, and to think he's still so young, only 21 years old at the moment, will also be 26 in 5 years time. He's just got such a bright future ahead of him. As I said, I'm a United fan. I would have loved to put Marcus Rashford in there, but once again, it looked like Luke Shaw, although got many years ahead of him, which, by the way, sorry, voice break, although got many years left ahead of him, very injury prone, and I don't know if his body will let him down in 5 years time. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he picks up form and becomes a great player like many people think he will be. But as I said, I just think Foden with his current form looking brilliant. Raheem Sterling could still kind of be in the squad. As we know, he's been in a big dip in form, and there's been lots of rumors to whether maybe he'll move to Barcelona or not. I think if he does that, I feel like that could be a career-ending decision, because Barcelona have been dreadful lately, not really getting into Manchester City's team at the moment, so I don't know where he'll be in 5 years time. Jack Grealish doesn't really fit Manchester City's system. Because of that, I've got my doubts about him. As I said, the likes of Saka, a brilliant player, he could very much be in this squad. Barnes for Leicester City, once again, brilliant, has struggled with injuries, but not really getting the recognition he deserves, and because of that, as I said, I've gone for the likes of full Foden. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to the striker position. Who will England's main man be up front in 5 years time? Will it be Harry Kane? He'll only be 33 years old by then. We've got the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we've got the likes of Watkins, we've got the likes of Abraham. I feel like those will be the front runners for this position. At the end of the day, guys, might sound like a bit of a shock, but I've gone for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Look, I like Harry Kane. I think he is underrated. I think that I wouldn't argue too much if someone said that he would go down as the best Premier League striker of all time. Yes, he hasn't won trophies, but individually, looking at the amount of goals he scored over his career, every single Premier League season, bar this one so far, although it's still relatively early days, he has been an absolute monster and definitely a goal scoring machine. But as I said, in terms of form, we don't know where he'll be in 5 years time. Will he finally move away from Tottenham Hotspurs, or will he still be stuck at the club? Will he move to Manchester City, where he doesn't really fit the system, because Man City aren't really big on using strikers? We don't know where Harry Kane will be, but as I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be 29 years old in 5 years time. The way he has adapted and grown as a player has been monstrous, has been huge, especially working under the likes of Duncan Ferguson. I feel like Dominic Calvert-Lewin definitely has a bunch of goals in his locker, and I feel like he will be England's main man up front. As I said, I feel like Tammy Abraham or Watkins also have that ability, but at the moment you just cannot shine away from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my starting 11 for England in 2026. 5 years time, yes, I know, very controversial. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with it, but you know what? I kind of like the squad. I think if they've got the squad in 5 years time, they could look really brilliant, which, by the way, guys, a plane is flying above the house. It always happens when I record. Majority of the time I cut it out, but it is what it is. I hope it doesn't make too much noise. But I also asked you guys in my community tab on my YouTube to see what kind of squads you guys believe in. Looking at some squads that some of you guys submitted, we had the likes of Manchi the Dog, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and they pretty much had the current England lineup. They think that England's pretty much going to have the same team in 5 years time, which I don't really shine too far away from. I think that there are some brilliant players currently in the England lineup, and if I had to say any of these players wouldn't be in the squad in 5 years time, I'd have a tricky decision picking them, because I think England currently have a really good young squad, and they could have the same squad in 5 years time. We've also got the likes of Yeti Boy, who I know is a Leicester City fan, always comments on my videos. This is a squad you submitted. You obviously had the likes of Justin in the left wing back position. As I said, a very young promising player could be in the squad. You put Saka in your squad. As I said, very possible. And one of the most interesting picks is the likes of Delap in the striker position. Once again, think that's how you pronounce it. Obviously, an 18-year-old striker who plays for Manchester City, is doing very well for their youth teams. As I said, will be 23-ish by the time the 2026 World Cup rolls around. We don't know what kind of player he could be. I mean, a player like Marcus Rashford, who's been in the England system forever, is only 24 years old. So, I mean, 5 years time, I mean, Delap could definitely build a name for himself and could end up in the squad. I really think that's an interesting one. I really like that one, Yeti Boy. I think that's a really brave decision. I like it. And also, one of the last submissions we had was from FR, or for real, I don't know what the FR stands for, but you put the likes of Skip there. You put forward quite a few options, but I kind of makeshifted with the options you made. But you said as an option, the likes of Skip could be in the squad. That's definitely an interesting one. You put Livramento, brilliant for Southampton, as I said. You put the likes of Eze from Crystal Palace. I don't know whether Eze will be at Crystal Palace in 5 years' time. I feel like he's got potential to make a big move if he stays fit. And obviously you had the likes of Madueke, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, who's currently playing for PSV, only 19 years old, a lot of promise behind him. And at the end of the day, I think you guys also made some really interesting picks. I really like the teams that you guys submitted. And of course, I asked the big old Dominic Rich, good old Dominic Rich, always provides the best content, what he thinks the best young 3-line squad will look like in 5 years' time. And he just submitted that. Dominic, I'm not angry, I'm just slightly disappointed in the way you delivered that, but you know what, I guess you gotta respect what it is. But thank you so much for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have ended up enjoying it. It was kind of a different kind of video than I normally make. I feel like it was a very fun video to make. I hope it was definitely a fun one to watch. I kind of want to do this in terms of content going forward, kind of making more fun content that I can get you guys involved in. So thank you so much to everyone who did end up submitting squads, including you, I guess, Dominic Rich. Do end up appreciating it. But guys, if you have enjoyed this video, like it down below. I might end up doing a different national team. And of course, subscribe if you're new to my channel or just not subscribed. Can we get this channel to 1,750 subscribers by the end of the year, maybe even closer to 1,800. I would really appreciate that. But guys, England, will it be coming home in 5 years' time? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Football is such a beautiful, unpredictable thing, and no one can tell what's going to happen by the end of the season, let alone in 5 years' time. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been your boy, Finn, FYNN. Cheers.